so much. So today's first session, we are going to have a keynote speaker, which I'm hoping it will be a very interesting topic because you'll relate to it because she's someone who's been in the country and has been looking at the specific topic over the last, I believe, very many years. Yeah. So today's session, we are going to have one of our speakers. Her name is Abosede Babatunde from the University of Ilorin. Welcome, and yeah, I believe she'll do a very comprehensive introduction and then you can proceed with the topic. Welcome, please.
Presentation. Okay, it will be okay for me. All right. Okay. So good morning, everyone. So I'd like to thank the organizer for the opportunity to present the keynote lecture for this event. I've said, my name is Abosede Babatunde from the University of Ilorin. And I'll be presenting this lecture on managing violent religious extremism in Nigeria. And those of you who are familiar, I know we have many Nigerians here, you all agree that violent religious extremism has posed a major threat to Nigeria's security landscape for over 2 decades. And despite the counter-violent extremism effort of the Nigerian government, the reality is that Boko Haram, the major violent extremism in Nigeria, has proved remarkably resilient, adaptive, and have continued to adopt various shifting strategies in pursuit of their ideological and political agenda. And it's important for us to look at what are the key challenges that continue to undermine Nigerian government effort to contain violent religious extremism in Nigeria. So now I'll look at briefly. Violent religious extremism is not even new in Africa but it gained traction in the 1990s. And it's more synonymous with Salafi jihadists, for example, like Boko Haram or Shaba. So the reality of this violence extremism is that they are adopting terror tactics in their pursuit of their ideological and political agenda. And this has impacted significantly on human and natural human security in Nigeria and other African countries battling with the challenges of violent religious extremism. So this paper will actually provide insight into those contextual issues that shaped the evolution and operational strategies of violent religious extremism, as well as the response of the Nigerian state and regional and international community on the war on terror. It's important for us to understand that there are interplay of social, economic and political issues that provided a breeding ground for Boko Haram, has also shaped the capacity of the state to manage the violent extremism. So this paper will look at the evolution, provide some insight into the evolution of violent religious extremism, as well as also look at the key drivers of violent extremism. It will also provide a brief contextual and clarification of the key concept that is relevant to this paper, as well as also give us insight into the theoretical framework or analytical framework. It's also important for us to look at as media framing of violent religious extreme Boko Haram and impact on local, national, regional and international responses to this threat. And we will also be looking at those institutional capacity of Nigeria government to tackle what have been the effort and what have been the gaps in this effort, and I'll provide the conclusion as well as the recommendation. So now when we talk about violent religious extremism, I imagine Nigeria as a religious dissident group that is based on some domestic grievances. So but over time they transform to a transnational jihadist group due to their interaction with the Nigerian militarized security agency. So we have to look at how the Nigeria response shaped the trajectory of Boko Haram. And before we go further, we have to understand that Haram actually emerged in northern Nigeria as a result of internal division within the Islamic fold. I mean the various religious strands in Islam. But Boko Haram has continued to gestate in Nigeria because the group is riding on domestic grievance linked to what socioeconomic deprivation, marginalization, and injustice that permeate the Nigerian governance and state institution. And it depletes what I can say is a paradox in the sense that Nigeria is a very rich country. Nigeria is rich in natural resources. Nigeria is considered as a major superpower in West African sub-region and even Africa alone. And Nigeria is the one sub-Saharan largest oil producer that have generated enormous revenue from these oil resources. Nigeria has an advanced economy and also relatively strong military capability. But despite it, the paradox that majority of Nigerian population live in what abject poverty, unemployment, which breed the socioeconomic deprivation, injustice, and human rights. So as a result, Boko Haram is exploiting, capitalizing on this grievance to recruit large numbers of unemployed, disenfranchised, marginalized youth in pursuit of both their religious and political agenda. And the group, beyond even combating in northeastern Nigeria, the group has been able to expand its operation to other neighboring countries in West Africa and Central African sub-region. And Boko Haram lethality has engendered a major humanitarian crisis, and it has also reversed back the case of socio-economic development in Nigeria. And some recent reports has depicted the enormous costs that have a result of Boko Haram atrocity and a humanitarian crisis. For example, a recent UNDP report depicted that Nigeria alone, the cost, economic cost linked to violent extremism in Nigeria is about 89% of the total economic cost within a 10-year period, 2007 to 2017. And even Libya, that is the second highest cost. Nigeria cost alone is about 19 times more than that of Libya. So this depicts the magnitude of economic cost that is linked to violent extremism. And as I said, it's important for us to understand how Nigerian militarized response has continued to shape the trajectory of Boko Haram. So now we have to briefly just look at some of the conceptual concept that is very relevant to this. For example, radicalization. I mentioned earlier that Boko Haram have been able to exploit socioeconomic grievance to what? Radicalize youth and the radicalization intersects with violent extremism, because radicalization, even though it's action of convincing or coercing somebody to accept another person or group of people extreme position, perhaps linked to religious, social or political, but the key when it's adopted through violence means it's become what? Violent extremism. So violent extremism is a religious ideology or worldview that deviates from general societal norm, but it is being pursued through what violence means. And when we talk terrorism, is a very contested term, but the key issue with violent extremism is that in their operational strategy, they have been adopting terrorist acts or tactics, and that is why, for example, have been designated both by international organization or national government as what? A terrorist group. So terrorism, as defined by the United States Department of Defense, is a calculated use of unlawful violence or threat of unlawful violence to inculcate fear intended to coerce, intimidate government or society in pursuit of certain objectives, which may be what? Political, religious, or ideological. So countering violence and extremism. Countering violence and extremism have been a measure to be able to counter violent extremism, but though there is no consensus on what exactly it entails. But the key reality is that violent extremism must incorporate non-militarized action to prevent or curtail extremism. And also there is a new trend or realization that violent extremism, countering violent extremism, also has to entail what? A variety of actors, multiple actors, non-state actors, individuals and communities that are very critical to effort to counter violent extremism. So theoretically, this study is situated was secularization theory, and this theory emerged from the Copenhagen School, and it is a very important contribution to the field of security studies. And when we are talking about secularization theory, now it's by rethinking security beyond the notion of national security. It encompasses other forms of security, especially recognizing the importance of non-state actors, and in this sense, women's security. And it encapsulates some various types of security, like military security, environmental security,